Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports. Here myself Charlie. A reminder before the video starts to please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try to become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Now obviously the weekend's boxing is being dominated by the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight. I've done a prediction on that already on my channel, so please check that out if you're interested. But there is other boxing on, especially on these shores and also in Africa, which is great to see. It's as always good to see promoters grow. Africa has a rich history with boxing. Of course, everyone looks at the Rumble in the Jungle, but also you've got legends like Azuma Nelson, Joshua Clottey, Dick Tiger going all the way back. It is a real hotbed of boxing and boxing fans. So it's good to see that continent being rewarded. And of course, with the era of immigration as well, it's good to see some of these fighters going back to sort of their ancestral homelands. I think that's always a beautiful thing to see. So I'm going to do a preview on the boxing outside of Paul Joshua. Some would say let's do a preview on the real boxing. First things first, there is an interesting show on the BBC actually in Leeds, which I think is going again under the radar. Ben Shalom's promotion. I don't know. I like Ben Shalom. I like the fact that box on the BBC. I keep reiterating that. But you've got to do more to promote it, especially Callum Simpson, who has got a huge amount of potential in that Yorkshire area. That Yorkshire area, I think I heard on a podcast earlier, they were saying about it as well, is crying out for a star. They probably haven't had one since Kell Brook, really. I know Kid Galahad. There's been others, Dave Allen, but they've not really had a star. Callum Simpson's undefeated. He's got a massive following in Barnsley, who sell out Oakwell quite regularly. He's on the cusp of world level, I think. I think if he beats Troy Williamson, that's a very good win. And now we've seen, obviously, Bud, which I'm going to do a video about separately, retire. We've seen Bud retire, which means that super middleweight scene is going to be scattered. Quite feasibly and conceivably, Callum Simpson could end up fighting for a vacant belt in 2026. Now, whether that's on the BBC or where that is, I don't know. We don't know how the money works. But I do think more needs to be done to promote him. Story with his sister, of course, her tragic passing in Greece. And it's great to see him overcoming that tragedy. And obviously never great that the tragedy happened. But you know what I'm trying to get my drift out. I'm sort of getting myself caught up in words. I know what I mean. Troy Williamson was no easy night's work. Seems to have filled out as super middleweight as well, Troy Williamson. We saw before down at super welter, seemingly get the brakes beaten off him by Josh Kelly, for example. But he seems to have filled out. And I think when people thought, oh, he's done, he's come back with that English super middleweight title win. I still expect Simpson to win. I think it could be a great fight. I think it could be a real good domestic dust-up. And Simpson's shown his last fight with Zuko, which went, I think, under the radar. He is susceptible to being hurt, which worries me as he goes up through them levels. But like I say, just need him promoted that little bit better because he's got potential. Obviously, Josh Warrington as well, I should say, that Yorkshire. That was incredibly disrespectful to forget him. But I think he could be, for Bardsley, what Josh Warrington was for Leeds. Obviously, as well, there is the two African cards like I meant to mention. Lawrence Coley face off against Ebenezer Tete, who, bless him, still seems to get these fights with heavyweights. He's been in with Dillian White. He's been in with Fraser Clark. He's now in with Lawrence Coley. I mean, fair play to him. He's doing the business. He's getting the money that he deserves, I guess. But you really wanted a Coley in with a better fighter on that. Also, Tony Yoka on the undercard. I think that fight is interesting, the Yoka fight, because he is one of the names being touted as a potential opponent for AJ in February. And that is really something that I think will be reflected on Saturday night. If he wins and wins well, then I think that's where they might go with that. I thought Adelaide was supposed to be on that card, but it appears not. As for Coley, I guess he's going to blast Tete out there within 3 rounds, and then hopefully we can get him in with some decent heavyweight fighters. But I think he's in the Who Needs Him club. He's not a big ticket seller. He's not a great style to watch. I mean, I was at Usyk Dubois and I watched him and Lorena, and I know he hurt himself that fight, but it wasn't a good watch. And it's always been a criticism levelled at him. And I think he is in that Who Needs Him because they've got to try and force a mandatory or something with him. Lastly, as well, there is the Ghana card, which has been caused a bit of a stir on social media with some of the face-offs. Craig Richards versus Dan Aziz. I think the winner of this is probably going to go on and fight Ben Whittaker in 2026. Does make sense. They're all under Matchroom. They're both names, Richards and Aziz. And it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I know Leo Atang is on the undercard. He's faced off against a guy called Baba Yusuf. I think that'll be a one-round demolition job for Atang. But good to see him get out before the end of the year. Leo Atang, I think he's another prospect who's hot on everyone's lips with the sort of batch that's coming through. Batch we saw Vizioli win last night. I think, like I say, Richard Aziz, it could be a really good fight, actually. It could, because I think the styles should blend. Aziz, I think this is his last chance saloon for him. I really like Dan Aziz. I really like the story. You know, he was European champion, but I think this is his last chance. So he's on a bit of a downward curve since the Buatsi fight at Wembley's. He shucks himself. So he lost that fight with Louis Edmondson as well last year. So, yeah, I think this is his last chance. So probably for both of them, really, to try and get that final big win, and then hopefully a big fight against Ben Whittaker, which will make them some money. As always, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. I'm trying to cover all sports, so just stick with it. And thank you very much. As always, guys, have a great day.